It's always a pain in the ass when a peaceful and enjoyable flight gets ruined by a crazy passenger who didn't leave their madness at home. In some cases, the situation can be too much for flight attendants to handle, and the only solution ends up being a duct tape. Here are 5 times unruly customers were duct taped mid-flight. Number 5. Heather Wells chaos mid-flight. It was all chaos in an American Airlines airplane when a female passenger decided to pull off one of the wildest stunts ever seen, mid-flight. Heather Wells, the 34-year-old first-class passenger, had boarded the flight from the Fort Worth International Airport in Texas to the Charlotte Douglas International Airport in North Carolina. However, barely an hour into the flight, she began to cause a fracas, shouting and requesting to get out of the plane. Now, if you know anything about planes, you know it's practically suicide to open the main door mid-flight. Needless to say, this lady had no chutes on. In fact, she probably didn't even have her senses on at that moment. To make matters worse, she started talking trash and running toward the back of the plane, threatening to open the door herself if her request wasn't granted. Airline officials were shocked, to say the least, wondering if the one glass of Jack Daniels she had drunk a few moments ago had made her go mad. At one point, the lady dropped to her knees and began to crawl, all while still talking nonsense and swearing. She also became very aggressive and threatened to hit a male flight attendant who had attempted to calm her down. When the bold attendant refused to get out of her way, Miss Wells pushed him aside and attempted to open the cabin. That's when 2 flight attendants and another passenger decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. Although one of the flight attendants got smacked in the head, the trio managed to restrain her with cuffs and duct tape. But yet still, the stubborn lady continued to yell, spit, and kick in her chair, like a little baby throwing a tantrum. This prompted the officials to restrain her even more, shutting her mouth with duct tape. After the whole ordeal, when Heather Wells was tried in court after being sued, she revealed she had mental issues and felt very frightened for her life at that point. She further apologized for the annoying stunt she pulled off and the effects it must have had on other passengers. However, this didn't stop her from getting slapped with a $81,950 fine by the Federal Aviation Administration. Number 4. Flight 1219, chaotic passenger. In another flight bound for Chicago, a naughty passenger cost everyone on board their flight ticket when he decided to suddenly make for the emergency exit right in the middle of a fight. The annoying incident took place in February 2024 on American Airlines Flight 1219 after taking off to Chicago from Mexico. The plane was barely 20 minutes into the flight when the unidentified passenger began to cause disturbance, attempting to open the door. The cabin became tense as everyone was wondering the cause of the disturbance. With babies crying and everyone looking over their shoulders asking questions, you'd have thought a plane was about to crash or someone had collapsed out back. Meanwhile, it was all a panic show caused by one man's insanity. Things escalated quickly as other passengers who weren't ready to die or get sucked out of the plane quickly wrestled the maniac to the ground. They pinned him until flight attendants brought some flexi cuffs and duct tapes, which were used to keep him under control. Just so you know, the fracas didn't end there, as the pilot was forced to return back to New Mexico to drop off this unsettling passenger before he could cause any more damage or put any more lives at risk. Pretty sure the man was happy when he saw the plane making a U-turn. However, this wasn't a drop-off, as the cops had been contacted and were already on the ground when the plane landed. They happily welcomed the miscreant with open arms. Although airline authorities didn't give any clear reasons as to why this crazy man attempted to forsake the plane mid-flight, it's safe to say he got what he deserved. Number 3. Passenger gropes airline attendants. In the long list of naughtiest things airplane passengers can do during a flight, the last thing you'd expect would be groping. This naughty male passenger must have broken a forbidden world record when he didn't just curse and verbally abuse flight attendants, but also groped them. The incident in 2021 during a flight that was traveling from Philadelphia to Miami. The exact reasons why this passenger decided to go nuts is still unknown. And funny enough, the passenger was a young 22-year-old adult, someone you'd expect at least some sort of maturity from. However, there was nothing mature about the way 22-year-old kept yelling and cursing, putting other passengers at unease. Nobody loves to spend their hard-earned money on a flight ticket only to find a crazy person upsetting the peace when the plane is midair. Nevertheless, some passengers were amused by his childish tantrums and curses. Many burst out laughing at some point during the mid-flight show, and a good number of passengers filmed him on their cell phones. However, no one was laughing when Maxwell decided to get physical, especially not the flight attendants. It took a reasonable amount of violence and duct tape before officials were able to get this guy to shut up for good. But in the process, Maxwell had assaulted the flight attendants, groping 2 of them in the breast and backside while punching the 3rd in the face. His naughty actions earned him a date with the police, as he was arrested as soon as the plane touched down in Miami. In the end, Maxwell was sentenced to 60 days behind bars. Number 2. MidFlight Psycho. In another moment of airplane madness, passengers were perplexed to find a man going crazy in the middle of a flight, screaming and making unintelligible noises. It's not clear if he was scared of heights or if he simply wanted his mama, but the childlike screams are one thing that made videos of this man trend as soon as it hit the internet. The man in question is still undisclosed. However, it has been confirmed that the incident took place on an American Airlines flight that had been traveling from Rio de Janeiro to Miami. Although most of the shitty words this man spoke were incomprehensible, we were at least able to make out that at some point he began to scream, saying, "Help! They're killing me!" The crazy dude was so strong that it took 4 passengers and 1 airport crew member to pin him down. Next, the almighty duct tape was used to make him shut up and keep him in check for the rest of the flight. Passengers on board this flight were pretty much disturbed, to say the least. And the panic spread to other would-be passengers who were planning to onboard a plane via the same route, Miami to Rio de Janeiro. The truth is, incidents involving mid-flight psychos like these are becoming more popular by the day, especially when you talk of American Airlines. Passengers are becoming more skeptical about flying, no thanks to these buzz killers who steal the joy right out of innocent, happy passengers. It gets even more disturbing when you consider that some of these maniacs get away with light punishments, or no punishment at all. For instance, in this case, after all the yelling, kicking, and cursing this man did, upsetting the peace and putting passengers into a state of unrest, no arrest was made by the police. Airline authorities also failed to give any comment as to what made this man go insane and act the way he did. It all makes you wonder if there's something fishy going on. Number 1. Iceland Aircraft Psycho. Over in Iceland, 1 passenger got to see the dark side of flight attendants after he was mercilessly tethered to his seat using duct tapes. The flight had been moving from Reykjavik to New York when a full-grown adult male passenger decided to cause a major disruption. The middle-aged man kept screaming, hitting and kicking at whatever he could find or anyone who was within reach. In other words, he was pretty much talking trash and attacking other passengers for no reason. The other passengers could only take his bullshit for so long, as they didn't waste any time to pounce on him and pin him down. Next, he was properly wrapped up in tape and also bound to his seat with plastic ties. To add to that, a few passengers also volunteered to monitor him for the duration of the flight. Once the plane landed, the police were already waiting on the other side. Later, they realized the man had been drunk, and this was probably the reason for his tantrum. Thanks to this, he luckily escaped getting sued or spending jail time. Can't say the other passengers were happy about it, though. Anyways, that's all for this video. Which of these cases of naughty passengers getting nabbed was your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss out on our next video. Bye for now.